Hey guys, my name is Nick and welcome back to the channel. And if you cast your mind back, I was painting Sector Mechanicus terrain a long time ago, and it's now time to try and put that together in a modular format. So if you're a subscriber to this channel or you just watch this content in general, you'll notice that I have become a bit OTD. That's Obsessive Terrain Disorder. And you know what it's like when you're a keen hobbyist and you just get into that flow and your imagination's running wild, and all you want to do is just do cool stuff whilst that imagination is going. And for me at the moment, terrain is number one. Now I'm not going to make any apologies for that. There are lots of videos recently all about terrain rather than about miniature armies themselves or painting guides and so on. But it's one of those things, when you're in the flow, you've got to keep going with it, right? So without further ado, this video is all about how I'm making some of my terrain, my Sector Mechanicus terrain, modular, so I can use them as standalone and put them together to make a larger structure. So let's get straight into the video. So the first thing to do when planning out these kind of modular boards is to obviously start with those 12-inch square boards, which you can see are 6mm MDF boards. And what I've done is just start working out where these Sector Mechanicus pieces are going to go. So you can see that bottom left, I haven't planned exactly what's going to go in there yet, but just something to interconnect those final pieces. And as you can see, when you rotate them around, they're not 100% in every configuration. Now, I found that it's almost impossible to be 100% no matter which orientation you go around, unless the terrain piece itself is almost identical to the other one. Now that would be pretty boring when it comes to standalone. They'd all look very, very similar indeed, and I didn't want that. So pretty much each terrain piece can go together in about 2 or 3 different orientations. And you end up with something like this. This was me playing around the other night, just putting all the pieces together that I've got that were available. I've got an awful lot more than this. Just trying to work out how to put these together. That decision on the bottom right is going to be something I'm going to do slightly differently. That is almost like a power regulator or a shield generator or something like that. But I'm actually going to do all the platform stuff in that square, and that will form something else. But you can see there, lots of bridges, lots of interconnections, lots of height, and so on. And what I've done is taken those a little bit further and started gluing them down, gluing them to the boards, and then using the ground cover technique that I've spoken about before, which is basically a technique developed by Lukes APS. Links to his channel once again, because I owe him a huge thanks for being able to put some of this together. And you can see now that with all that ground cover on, these kind of sort of merge together. They will become a little bit more than just looking at baseboards. And you can see here, as I rotate them around, they do go together in a number of different configurations. Not everything works, you know, like that one for example, a bit iffy. You could get away with it, but it's not perfect. But you know, and again, that one doesn't quite work, that one doesn't quite work. But if you go around to this one, that works perfectly. So a number of different ways of putting these together. So that planning process is really essential. So when you come to glue these down, you know that it's going to kind of work. And each of these will, yeah, as you can see, will work in a number of different ways. So bringing in the third section, which is going to be this ring section here, and you can see that one fits on that particular way round, and it will also fit on other way around as well. So just combining it here with another one, and you can see these gangplanks all kind of linked together. Now magically, I didn't realise this before I started this project, if you put these planks together in a certain format, they do actually end up being 12 inches wide, which is rather convenient when you're building 12-inch baseboards. Didn't quite get it 100%. There is some little play there. So there's a couple of millimeters out here and there. You can see it a little bit clearly on that one as we try and connect those together. But yeah, slightly other way around, it's perfectly fine. And you'll get away with that in games. You could be a bit more careful with that and go for laser cut boards. But I've just been cutting these with a circular saw. So you remember that little ring one? This is where we've got to with this now. It's not 100% done. The exhaust pipes still need to be done, need to be finished. They're not glued down. But the rest of it is pretty much done other than just the final dry brush on the base. So you can see here I've put all the ladders on. I've started putting some scatter barrels and ammo crates and so on in and around the terrain piece. Now this is where my imagination has been running wild. I've had all these plasma pipes and crates and barrels and everything sitting around, and it was time to put it together. And this was kind of the net effect. Now I'm going to go a bit wobbly hand cam here, so apologies for any fuzziness, but I wanted to show you guys some of the detail. So underneath here, what we've got is two of those red cylinders. So these are the smaller cylinders from Sector Mechanicus, combined with some of the plasma pipes and obviously the flooring systems and those leg supports and so on. And you can see there I've managed to space them out so they interconnect quite nicely. The vertical pipe that we're looking at on the front left here, perfectly trimmed down. You can cut these pipes into any number of those sections with a razor saw, just so you can get the altitude right, or stretch pipes and make them a bit longer or a bit shorter. And that reconnects back into the exhaust system on the top. And as you can see, that exhaust system, I've only just started painting it. So, but I wanted to show you guys exactly the progress that I've got so far. And having had all these individual components painted for some time, it's nice to try and put them together and show the sort of the final result that I imagined in my head many months ago when I started painting all these components. So for my battle reports that you may have seen on the channel, all I was doing was just building these ad hoc and just sticking them on the tabletop. Now these are in a bit more of a fixed format, and that enables you to, you know, just come up and let your mind go crazy and start making pipes to interconnect and just some randomness of Sector Mechanicus. And this is perfect for 40k, for Kill Team, for Armageddon, for whatever you want to do. Now you can see the net effect of that with the other two that I've managed to paint as well, or the lower sections that I've managed to paint. There's still the second and third tiers still to go onto this. But you can see exactly how these will interconnect to form a nice grid, sort of a 2 foot by 2 foot grid of terrain features that all go together. And I think they look good on their own, but they look even better when you combine them up in this kind of format. So yeah, pretty happy with the way it's going. As you can imagine, you know, my imagination has been going crazy. I've been really focused on doing lots of terrain over the last 2 months, through October and through September, October, November, really, where we are now. And I've just been really enjoying it, especially when you've had all these components kicking around in a box for quite a while since I did painted guides on these. But if you're interested to know how I did paint these, obviously links will be left in the description for you guys below. But there we go, that's pretty much going to wrap up some of the video and the photos. You can see here I've still got a few more bits still to go. I've got a few new spray cans ready to get cracking onto these bits and then complete these other sections. So there we go then guys, that is how I've gone around my planning of my modular terrain. Progress that I've made so far, I think it's looking pretty good. I can't wait to get some games on this. Well, I need to get them finished first, but I can't wait to get some games on this terrain pieces that I've started putting together. I hope you've enjoyed this little journey on the thought process behind modularising those terrain pieces, rather than just being sort of individual standalone pieces that I'm going with on these 12 by 12 squares. This particular project is all about trying to make sure that they're modular. They fit together in various formations and configurations, and they will look good either as individual pieces or when you push them together to make something a bit more cooler, a bit bigger, something that has real visual impact in your games. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I shall catch you guys on the next video.